5. 10. So next is 10. Third? 13 and? So 13 and do the sum of your name. 13 and 10. Oh, so 10 plus 5? 15. Okay. 20. 24. Okay. All right. So we didn't do yours, right? Okay. Sana 4. No, start. No, yeah, 4. All right, so what's happening over here? What we are doing is we are creating a graph. What graph is this? Is it a bar graph, pie chart, line graph? Okay. So what we are doing here is we are creating some data. Like I wanted to have an introduction of the kids, like what's your name, and we play some kind of a activity, do some kind of an activity. So Sana or Sara? Sara. 8. $14. So yeah, 14. And the last group, 6. 13. Okay. 18. 24. 23. Okay. All right. So who's the winner? The last group, right? But do you see any issues with this? Like, what are your observations when you look into this line graph? Like, there are these different graphs, lines that you see. Some lines are bigger, some lines are shorter. Anyone can answer, like, yeah, go ahead.
Not every group has the same amount of people.
Not every group has same amount of people, right? So very good observation. So when we say that this last group has won the game, maybe that's not the right statement. Often when we look into our data, like in our corporate job or when you are studying, when you look into the data, you'll see some missing data, right? So for example, me, Rayan, and Heba, we were doing this thing, gardening, right? So in our garden, we have got lots of slugs and snails. And we would count the number of slugs and snails every day that we are capturing. One day we didn't count and we forget, like, hey, so that data is a missing data. There is a gap in those numbers. So anyone can answer, like, if you have got missing data, how would you capture, how would you take care of that? Any guesses? Yes. Say your name and then give the answer. Saleh. Exactly, right? So Saleh has answered that you take the average. So right now, for example, let's say this is last group, right? So last group has 4 people. Let's say we have got 5 people and 1 person is missing. What would be the average of this? So again, you can start. Your name was? Hana. Hana 6, 13, 18, 23. Let's take the average and see if there was a 5th person, what would that number be? How do you take the average? Can anyone answer? Yeah. Your name and then answer.
So the amount of letters, you divide that by how many times people went.
How many times people were? Is this the right answer? Anyone else can answer this? Did you find? Okay, what is the answer? Yeah, 5.75. So if we add 5.75 over here to 23, you'll be 28, right? So this is how we take care of the missing data. And there would be a lot of times in your analysis or any job that you do, you will encounter issues like this. Often when you are studying, you will be given some data that, hey, there is this data in Excel. You start looking into the data and then start working on it. But then when we work in our daily job, you will see issues like the data is not complete, right? You need to think about it. You need to process that data. There would also be times like this was a simple data, right? So when you think of data, you would say, okay, data would be, there would be some kind of a sales pitch, sales data, laminate sales, or like things like that, that kind of data. But here, even your name, it is data. Right now, the number of people in this room, and then you do the distinction by male versus female, or by age group, all of this is data, right? Right now, like the number of colors that you are seeing in this room, all of this is data, right? But then you have to process the data. Sometimes people would write incorrect spellings. So if I ask you people, where are you from? Someone says San Francisco, and instead of I of Francisco, they will say EESCO, right? The spelling is incorrect, but you would see those kind of issues in your data. So you need to take care of those things. So with that, like I'm very grateful to be here for you to come today on the weekend, for the parents to make sure that you are here, to the organizers, my friend Nofal, who invited me for this talk. And what we're gonna do today, so this was our icebreaker activity. So data science, right? So I work as a data scientist. I work as a data scientist at PayPal. And maybe I can move this thing on the side. So when you think of any data science project, there are different pillars over there. You start by asking an interesting question, right? So here in this particular thing, I was asking a question that, hey, you've got around 6 groups of people over here. How's the distribution looking like? What kind of things you can do with that data? The second thing you do is get the data. And again, like my aim today, I know you are students, but I want to give you an idea of what happens when you would stand up in the corporate world, what kind of things would happen, right? So getting the data is also challenging. Right now, if I were to say, this is your project, to collect the name of all your colleagues over here, and then write it down. So this is like hand collection of the data. But then there could be other issues as well, like when you enter. Explore the data, right? So once you get the data, you do data exploration. So these keywords, like just keep them in mind that, hey, what kind of things would happen? And as you would read more about it, you would see, okay, what it actually means. With data exploration, you can do this kind of analysis. Right now, you see that we created this kind of a graph, line graph. Can anyone answer what other things you could have done with this data? The number of letters for each person, what other things you can do with this data? Any other way to visualize this data? No answer is bad answer, okay? You're thinking something? A bar graph, okay. What would you do with the bar graph? Okay, so that's a good thing, good way of visualizing it. Another thing that we can do is, if I ask a question, what is the common name in this group, right? That is also data, right? I can write down the names of all 24 people over here and see, okay, how many duplicates are there? I thought there was Rehan. Is that a common name? You've got your Rehan? Rihan, okay. And then there was Rehan. Okay, a spelling change, right? So a little bit of change in the spelling, but maybe there could be common things over there. So data exploration, then we also create models, right? So my mom is recording the video, so this is ये YouTube पे ये लोग डाल रहे हैं तो उसमें आ जाएगा तो आपको रिकॉर्ड करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So my mom, like she came from India. My parents, like they are very proud that their son is here, so they are recording. So when you see of data science projects, right? So often you would have heard of machine learning models that you create. So there would be times when you try to answer the question, and that's where like you would create some kind of a model, right? So one of the model could be like, how can you predict whether it would be raining tomorrow? And I want you to focus over here. If you are using laptop, just shut it down right now. I don't want any, so there is no screen thing that I'm doing right now. There would be hands-on activities. I will give you time for that. But right now, like just keep it offline. The last activity is communicate and visualize. So once you have done all of this work, right? So once you have acquired the data, you have done the exploration of the data, you have done some kind of insights. The last piece is communicate and visualize. This is when like you have done all your homework and then you go to your stakeholders and tell them that, hey, this is what it is, right? This is the crux of what I'll be talking about today. But then in the data science community, what we will see is people spend a lot of time in doing other things, asking interesting questions, getting data, data exploration, models. But then when it comes to communicate and visualize data, and again, for us, we have seen this in our day job, it's just last 5 minutes before the presentation, we start dumping everything in PowerPoint, right? And then the message doesn't get through. So this is where I want us to analyze, work on it and see how we can improve that skill. So that's where like I'm gonna focus, but I wanted to start with a story, right? So we did this hands-on activity earlier, icebreaker, but wanted to start with a story. The story goes like a few years ago, I was very busy at work and was hardly paying any attention at home. So naturally, my wife and my kids were not very happy about that. And one fine day, I said, all right, today I'm gonna rest my neural network and have quality time with the family. So listening to this, my kids yelled, yay, and my wife, she was also happy. So I took my wife out for a movie, and that movie is Dangal. I don't know, if you have seen it, it's a little old movie. But over there, it's a very interesting movie, especially when this Olympics is going on. So this was about the athlete Mahavir Singh Phogat, who goes on to teach wrestling to his daughters, and who goes on to win medals in Olympics and different things. So we had a good time. We watched the movie, and my wife was happy. I said, all right, it looks like we had a good time. Next morning, I woke up. I used to live in Seattle, so I was driving my car, and I must have just parked my car in the parking garage of Building 5 in Microsoft. I used to work for Microsoft, and that's where I got a buzz on my phone. It was my wife on WhatsApp, and she sent me this picture. So this is like before and after of the transformation which the actor has gone through from here to here, right? And then I knew like what was coming next. Basically, she was trying to encourage me to do exercise. And I said, all right, I mustered all my neurons, energy, and I sent her this thing back, right? In just 2 weeks, I lost my watch. So this is what we do, right? So basically, the message that I'm trying to send is, if you want to transform yourself, you need to do few more things, right? You need to be disciplined, right? So, and I've got a question over here, but let me complete the story. So I sent this picture back to her, And after that, I closed the car and I started walking towards my office. I opened the door and I used to work in this group called Worldwide Learning. And with that, we were launching lots of programs for data science, machine learning, or different technologies. And when I entered my office, opened my laptop, I was still lost. Like, why are there certain people who go through this amazing transformation, but then there are people like me who are lazy and say, okay, this is the best we can do. So I started searching something on Google. On Google, there is this website called Google Trends. If you have not seen that, check it out. And I saw this graph. And I've got a question for you. The parents can also participate. But the question is, this is a trend of a particular topic that people are searching for. And it follows a pattern. First question is there a pattern? What pattern is it? Can anyone answer? Like, you are seeing some pattern over here. What pattern are you observing? Okay, you first.
Normal fluctuation for a lot of for the whole trend, but every few years it spikes up.
Okay. Do you want to answer?
Every New Year.
Every new year, something is happening, right? So, and what's your name? Fajr. Okay, mashallah. So Fajr has got the answer, like every new year, something is happening. So the second question is, what is happening in the new year? What is it that people are searching for? You can answer as well. Yeah, go ahead.
The sale of the workout equipments.
Workout equipments. So our brother has got a good answer that people are maybe searching for workout equipments every new year. Anyone else? Yes. New Year resolution. I like you have been very active. So, mashallah. So, New Year resolution. So, that's the second answer. We'll take two more answers and then I'll reveal what it is. Rayan, do you know? Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Yeah. Oh, your hand is like this. Be careful, I'll call you out.
The gym's having like New Year discounts.
Gyms having New Year discounts. Okay. Last. You want to answer? No? Okay. Okay. All right. So this is people searching for gym. So you are near, like a New Year resolution, you are near, right? So basically, like this is trend, like Google Trends. If you go, people search a lot of things on Google, and here people are searching for gym. They do that every first week of January. They do these New Year resolutions that, hey, I want to be fit, I want to have this amazing transformation. But then what happens? Can anyone answer like what happens after that? You're not active, right? So it's just the first 2 weeks of January when you are active, and after that you don't follow through, so you are not like having those amazing transformation. All right. So I looked into this, and now like I need to do some work. So I said, okay, let's close this thing, and I opened my data for my day job, which was for the number of courses people are launching, Microsoft is launching, and how people are taking those courses. So I saw this graph. Learner activities over time. So this graph shows the number of learners who are taking this course, like there's this online course, and they take this course, and these are the number of people who are taking. And what you are seeing is there is a peak happening when the course is launched, and then it tapers off. Next time we are launching a course, and then it tapers off. Third time, fourth time. So you see what's happening, right? It's similar to the gym thing, the New Year thing. People are very much interested that, hey, we want to go through this amazing transformation, but then they don't follow through. And if you don't follow through, you don't become like the actor like we were talking about. It could be with your body, it could be with your learning, it could be with your hips, or anything that you want to do. you want to have that discipline that, hey, if I want some transformation, I need to follow through, right? Any questions? Okay, all right. So how do you do these things? You do exercise, right? If you want to build muscles, you exercise. If you want to do learning, you exercise. So when I'm talking about data storytelling, what we are learning is storytelling with data. How do you learn about these things, right? For everyone, right? So people I know who want to change their discipline, doing from software engineering to data science or something else, right? So you can start with your local thing, right? So here, like there is this website, Wiz for Social Good, but like that, you can participate in KMCA, right? They do a lot of activities. See how you can participate. Tell them that, hey, I want to see the number of people registered for these different courses and which course is doing better, right? How can I use that data and then tell a story? As a data scientist, when I'm recruiting people, I get lots of resumes, like hundreds of resumes, like for a single job. But how will you stand out? You will stand out by projects. You have done any kind of projects that you were able to talk about. It's not just about opening the laptop, opening your Excel sheet, or doing some coding. That is important. But what we need is we need problem solvers. If you can tell me that, hey, I went to KMCA, I did these things for their fundraisers, like who are those people who donate a lot, and then I provided these insights, and then we were able to increase the fundraising from this amount to this amount, right? So this is what the hiring managers, or when you go to a job, people would like to learn about. So this is where you can exercise your skills. There is another website, if you are interested in data science, there is this website called Kaggle, which Google has bought recently, and it has got code of people, how they are analyzing. So if you want to go on the technical side, you can do those things. Another question over here, right? This is again data from Google Trends, and what you're seeing is, okay, let me ask if anyone can answer. What do you see? What patterns do you see in this data? Who can answer? If you are scratching your head or ear, okay. Okay. There is a peak happening every week, okay. And you see that with which line? Okay. Anyone else can answer it? It's good answer. I need more. So basically, like if I were to explain this data, I would say that, hey, I'm seeing the data for two different lines. And for the blue line, I'm seeing a peak happening every week. And for red line, what's happening? You can answer that. Like that. Okay. Anyone else? Girls? So let me answer, right? So here you, as I said, right? So this is data of a particular topic people are searching for, and there are two patterns we are seeing. One is there is a peak happening every week, and for the red line, it's something which is continuous. What if I ask you a different question? What is this topic people are searching for, which follows this trend? And the hint is these are two surahs from Quran people are searching for. So you see a peak happening with the blue line. I think that's an easy one. Let's wait if there is anyone else and I'll come back. Yes. Surah Kahf, right? Which line is that? Red or blue? Okay, awesome. So that's people searching for Surah Kahf, right? Every Friday we recite that surah, and you see this with data, right? This is so exciting that stuff that we do for our deen, you are able to see in Google Trends, right? There is also the red line, which is another surah. Can anyone answer that? Let me show you another graph. Okay. This graph was for last 30 days, last 90 days, from May to August. right? Now, when you look into the data, you analyze the data. So what we are doing next is we are doing drill down. So instead of looking into the last 90 days data, we will look into last 3 days worth of data. And here you see also the number of hours, like which hour you are seeing a spike. So first question is, can anyone explain what's happening in this graph? And then we will ask the next question. You. Yes. Now next to you. Yeah. So sit straight. I don't want you to sleep, right? We'll make it exciting, right? Okay. What's happening in this graph? Yes. What's your name? Arfan.
How long is what's the time period of 3 days? How much?
But you did a very good job, right? The good job you did is you asked a question. If something is not clear, you raise your hand and you ask questions. That's very important. When you go to the corporate world, a lot of times you will be given requirements and you don't ask questions and you are not able to deliver. I remember when I moved from India to Seattle for the first time, and it was a meeting with my client. He was a British person. He had a British accent, and I went by myself to meet him for the first time. And he said, hey, Gulrez, you know what? In this data warehouse thing, we should do this, and this, and this. And I said, okay. Did I understand anything? I didn't understand anything. I went back to my manager, and he said, what did he ask? I said, he said few things I didn't understand. I said, okay. Did you ask? I said, no. Then what did you say? I said, no, you cannot do this. So this is like our habits, like as in our culture, in Indian culture, you'll see we nodding a lot for everything, even if we don't understand. So you did a good job. You asked a question, right? So make it a habit. If you don't understand anything, ask that question. So here your question is, this is not very clear. I cannot see completely, but now you say, okay, this is last 3 days of data, right? So again, I can explain this data is hourly data that you are seeing. You are not seeing all the labels in the x-axis, but you are seeing something, right? So you see 11 a.m. And 11 a.m. around, there is this spot over there, and then there is this blue line. Someone was raising their hand. Yeah. Thursday afternoon. Okay. But what's happening? I want you to talk about these two different lines. What was happening earlier is, go back if I can. Okay, this clicker is having some issue right now. Okay, but anyways, what we saw in the previous slide, we saw the slide that there are two patterns. Which line was up the most, red or blue? Red or blue? Which line was up? Blue, right? For Surah Kahf, right? And then when you drill down, you see there is blue line which is up only one day, but there is this red line which is happening more frequently. And to give you a hint, this red line, this is around midnight or like from 10 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., around Isha time. This is spiking every night. Surah Mulk, exactly. Okay, awesome. Right. So that's the beauty of data, right? The clicker is not working.
Mouse.
Yeah. So what did we see, right? The stuff from our daily lives, from our deen, right? We are able to see them in data. And now the stuff that I was also trying to show is when you look into the data, you start with some kind of aggregated data, right? So the data was aggregated at a daily level. And then when you saw that, so when you looked into the data for a daily level, you saw a spike happening every week. So when you are looking into the aggregated data, you see that there is a pattern happening, Surya Kahf, and it's showing spike. The red line is frequent, but not as much as what you are seeing for Surya Kahf, right? Surya Mulk, people are reading every night. So this is again like you go and you do the drill down and you see, okay, what's happening over here, right? So this is again what I was trying was you do the exercise, right? How do you do the exercise? You go to KMCA, get data from there. You look around you, right? What surahs are we reciting at our home, right? And then search for it. Do you see a trend, right? So this is again, you can exercise your skills and show it. So this is a visual I created for my colleagues. It was shared like millions of times in different social media. And basically like it's a message which I want to send that first let me ask the question again, what's happening in this graph? Who can answer? I haven't heard from this table, so I would like to either you or you. If not now, later on. Okay, don't worry. Okay, go ahead. Your name is Sarah. Yeah. There is more prayer. Okay. Very good. What type of graph is this? Can anyone answer what type of graph is this? Parents can also answer. You can say it loudly. I can hear you. What kind of graph is this? Someone said timeline. Okay, so this is a timeline graph, right? And what you see over here is the timeline for a day. Now, as a Muslim data scientist, as a Muslim professional, I can go and I tell my managers and my colleagues that, hey, we are having a Ramadan, so I need some accommodations. I cannot have early morning meeting, but they might not understand as much if I am able to share it in this way, right? Now, when I share it with this way, you see like there are two demarcations that are happening, right? First, I'm showing most days how we spend our life, right? So this is also a dawa that we do that, hey, this is as a Muslim, we spend our life and there are different colors for each thing, right? So sleep, pray, eat. So this is how I'm sleeping. I wake up for Fajr and other green line showing about Dohar, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. Then things change. For Ramadan, we are doing more prayers. You see that black spot has also shifted and we are doing Taraweeh at night. And this is a comparison, right? So when you show this comparison and also like the fasting hours, so people didn't know about it. They say, oh, wow, for this long you don't eat or even don't drink anything. And he said, yes. And they say, okay, this is, now I understand, right? One of my colleague, like he called me the other day and he said, the person who was reporting to me, he was fasting and he was asking for some time off. So I didn't understand, but I said yes. But then I saw this graph which you shared, and now I understand, my God, like how is he surviving? So now it has created empathy, right? So your job, when you tell these stories in this way, in a visual way, you communicate in this way, it's easier understood, right? So that's why like you use these different techniques to be able to share your stories. So next what I want, okay, maybe there is another one, right? We all are affected by what's happening in Palestine, right? Now, this is the graph or visual I created not in last 9 months. This was 2 years ago when I created, and there were around 40 Palestinians who were killed by the Israeli Air Force. And I was very disturbed, like all of us, we make dua that, hey, may Allah make it easy for them and all that stuff. Now, one more dua that I also make is, may Allah give us strength to be able to do something for our community, something for our ummah with the knowledge that we are learning. So I would encourage all of us to make that dua, and every time, right? So you want to be successful, and then you want to be able to change things with what you are learning. Now, if I were to say that there were 40 kids who were killed in the recent attack, it doesn't create as much empathy in the audience. Instead, if I present it in a different way, right? So here you've got the size of the flowers represents the age of the kids, right? So there are small flowers, big flowers. There are few flowers which are next to each other, right? Maybe I should go to the screen. You can sit. Yeah, I like to stand. Yeah. So here you see there is this 2-year-old Ali Masri who was killed in a blast. So 2 years, right? A small flower. Now there are 3 kids from Anur family. They died on the day of Eid al-Fitr. You see them close by. Do you see these small flowers? 2 missiles hit them, like these are like 6-month-old babies, right? So this all affects us a lot. This breaks my heart, like what's happening with the kids in Palestine and whatever is going on. But if you think of like using some techniques, your job as a data professional or like just as a human being, if you want to do something, you want to move a person from point A to point B, right? How do you move them? You move them by creating some kind of empathy. You tell them stories, you show them visual, you say that so that see the information in a language that would do something. So you say 40 people were killed, not as much emotions arise in the audience. We want to tell our stories so people can understand what's happening. So I shared this again, like the millions of people, like they saw it, and then people reached out that, hey, my God, like this is what's happening. So you control the narrative. It is very important at this day. And as we do go further in this session, I will talk about other things which you would see people are also manipulating data. Like you can also lie with data. So as kids, as you are growing up, I want you to see like the data and say that, hey, you know what? This is not the correct way to represent it. I see that there's something happening. So there are a lot of things that we're going to do in these sessions. So again, go back. What are we doing? We are talking about how you exercise your skills, right? And I talked about you can do it with KMCA fundraiser. You do these things with data from our daily lives. This was a game that we were playing, me and my kids, we were playing snakes and ladders. We said, okay, let's collect the data of how many snakes and ladders each person gets. My son Rayyan sitting over there, like he cries a lot that, hey, I get more snakes than ladders, so I don't like this game. So what we did is we counted the number of snakes, number of ladders. You have the x-axis, y-axis, and then you break them into different segments, right? On the left corner, you will see less number of snakes, less number of ladders. On the topmost, you'll see more number of ladders, less number of snakes. If you go over there, that's the place where you can learn more. There are more chances for you to win the game. That's where like I wrote this book, Drawing Data with Kids. This is cultivating data literacy in kids. And the way like right now, as you see, I've asked you to close your laptop. So this is screen-free learning and storytelling and data visualization. So this is realistic fiction. I've got it like my 12-year-old daughter, Pariza, where we have got stories for different things. Again, I'll give it to the parents so you can check it out and help spread the word. I also want to have some kind of a representation. So as you have seen, like the cover, it has got a girl with a hijab, and we are telling our own stories that, hey, it's not just Muslims Muslims are also contributing, right? This is not a religious book. It's a technical book. It also has stuff like from our back home, paratha patterns, right? So stuff from our culture. Okay, it's how can you use the shape of parathas to be able to teach data literacy to kids? What kind of graphs you can create? Things like that. Alhamdulillah, it's doing very well. It's being translated in German and Arabic right now. Maybe someone can translate in Kerala, Malayalam, sorry, my bad. Yeah, so in Malayalam or other things, but a lot of, it was also awarded recently. It won an award. So feel free to check it out and help spread the word about it. So, and this is the game of Scrabble. We'll talk about it later on. And you see, like, again, this is similar to what we did over here. You did a cumulative sum and for each round, and look at what happened with that red line, right? So every line is for different member of the family. And with the red line, you see something happen in the 7th round. And basically, it was a triple tile, which my son got, and he won the game. So triple tile, and it was letter X, I believe. So you get more number. I don't know how many people play Scrabble. You guys play Scrabble? No? Yes? Yes? Okay. Nodding. Okay, so you can use data from these board games as well and tell stories. I want you to do an exercise now. So now you can use your notepad or laptop, whatever you want. I want you to create a visual. I want to create a timeline visual. So this timeline visual would have your own story. Right now, alhamdulillah, like I get opportunity to present these things for keynotes and different workshops in different places. And I always start with this timeline of how I started my career. If I go and I just talk about it, people get it, but here you can learn about it. So here I want you to start, like here, instead of your career, you can say this is when I was born, and these are the major milestones in my life. Maybe you moved to a different place, or you went to a different school, or you had your sibling who was born at that time, and about your own story, right? You can also think of, if you don't want to do it for yourself, you can do it for your own family, right? So this is the time when your mom and dad, they met, and then you moved, or you were born, or different things. Any questions? Okay, so you've got notepad, open the notepad. Anyone needs anything? I see like few people don't have a notepad or papers. Do we have any papers, print out, print papers or something that we can?
All right. Wait. Okay. Can I get some space? Locate. Wait. No, we're good. Can I have crafting paper? Oh, wow. No, it's crafting paper. Is it crafting? Oh. Oh yeah, can we have crafting paper? You're getting the crafting paper. No, you can have it. Loki, I didn't want it. No, but I don't want to like write and it be like obscured by the lines. And I realized after he gave me the paper. Okay. So, like, are you okay with it? Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's literally lines. You don't even need to. Up there. No, that's the bottom. Wait, you drew it on the bottom, right? Yeah. Oh. Oh my god. Yeah. This is getting really Wait, why did I ask us for crayons that were okay? No.
Oh, actually, wait, before I
Oh. Plus, I have another ruler.
well,
Minna, do your time.
what if I should?
Wait, are you sure you don't use your ruler?
Guys, I did it. Good one.
Let me get that ruler. We're good. Where did you get that word? Bro, you're on graphing paper and you can't draw a straight line. That's crazy. Wait, I'm actually.
Why are you so scared to draw a line? It's not that
No,
hard.
do you know how much anxiety drawing on paper gives me? Like, I haven't written on paper in a while.
Really? Why?
Just because I'm afraid of messing up.
You can do it.
All right. So there was a question like, what are we supposed to do over here? So I'll repeat it again. I want you to create a timeline. So personal timeline. You can start by maybe writing it in a tabular format, like, hey, 2007, I was born. 2012, joined school. 2016, moved to Bay Area. Things like that, like major milestones in your life, you write it down. Okay, this is when I was born, this is when we moved, and try to make it in a visual way. Rehan, right?
Jibril.
Jibril?
Jibril.
Jibril. Okay. Jibril? Okay.
When I was 4 or 5. When did you join preschool? Sarah, can you search up when you start preschool? No.
I think I
But some kids are too
whenever
old.
you joined, I joined.
I joined.
I did TK. Yeah. Okay. Wait, I think so. Yeah.
I didn't
because
do TK.
in Tokyo,
I'm gonna make up.
I did.
Yeah, same. I say we do 2013.
Wait, what year was it when I was like 4?
Why are you asking us?
2013.
2013. Thank you. 2013.
No. TK is for the kids who are like too young to join kindergarten that year.
Yeah, so 2014.
Wait, when did you start?
I was 5 years old.
Wait, did you do TK?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Wait, you didn't make the cut. You probably didn't do TK.
Oh, really?
Okay, well then I didn't do TK.
No, the people who I just made the cut. But I
We
was
didn't
too
make
young
the cut.
regardless, so I didn't do TK. I don't think you did TK.
We didn't
and
do
I don't
TK.
think yeah.
I repeated first grade in America.
That's a whole
Because you-
different thing. I'm anxious about your guys' timelines. I don't even know what I'm doing on mine.
When did I start?
I just work.
So I don't want to do my timeline so far.
Why don't we move
I need
to
like
America in 2000?
my
I want to be spreading out my events.
I need my like transcript written on. I did this for health. I should have just saved a picture.
And then in 2000.
Wait, I have to draw a picture of the school.
You have to draw.
It has to be visual.
You have to draw it?
Yes.
Can you guys come over?
Yeah, sure.
Hi,
No.
Sarah.
Hell no.
Aw. Why not?
I have tryouts tomorrow, and I have to practice. And plus my dad's gonna
Proud,
be my-
proud.
How the hell do you draw school? Freaking
That's
ugly.
fine school. That's a great. Yes.
No, you don't have to draw everything. Just draw a few things. Bro,
I think we still have 1 year. Join the new school, right?
Hannah has forgotten her entire life. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, should I have added like my first birthday? Whatever.
Wait,
Too bad.
what year was it when we were in second grade?
So in second grade, how old are we?
Like
You're in eighth, ninth grade?
7 years ago. So we were 7.
so
So you 2016. You were.
2016. So I was
20.
2015.
I have like.
Wait, what? I said I started preschool at 2014. How did I go to?
You did not start. Did you? You were like.
Wait,
Oh no, you were 2001.
Yeah.
All right. So you can take another couple of minutes to finish it, and you can also do that at your home. But these things are important. You can also maybe like create something and frame it. After 2-3 minutes, once you are done, we'll take a quick break of 15 minutes. So you can use the restroom, or you want to talk to each other, catch up, or if you've got any question for me, you can also talk to me. But yeah, after this, we'll have a break, and then we'll come back, and some of you will present what you have done. Okay. All right.
Not coming back from this break. I don't know. I think it's long. Oh, I have two things on my things. Yes, you have a right to. Oh, what did I do in my life?
Okay. Wait, when did I come here?
Wait, the first
Was
time.
it 2020? Yeah.
You
No,
you
no,
did
no,
not.
no. No,
Where are you
I
from?
mean Mountain House.
Oh, okay. We.
San Jose.
Oh no.
Bro. I think 2020.
Bro, the first like 10 years of my life were so irrelevant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, add that. I started Granada in 2015.
Bro, Alaska. When did we start?
Bro, I have like 5 events and they're all like so close to each other. I'm never gonna finish this timeline.
Wait, let me check if I have a picture from my health assignment. That was perfect. Where should we do that?
What? Can you? I don't believe it. Don't skip that.
Why is your timeline so small? Bro, look.
I should have gone
feel
that
like-
small. Now I feel like I over.
exactly. No, I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna put it here. Can I have the ruler? I'm gonna redo it. I'm gonna use this. No, look at hers.
Hannah, stop. Hannah, stop. Or else I will mess up yours. Hannah.
Oh, I'm done for. I can't find it. That's literally last year. Bro, I can't even say my brother was born because my brother was born.
Oh my god, I can do this. I'm so bored. Thank you, Larry.
Damn it. I have to wait till 2022. What am I supposed to put in the middle of that? Bro, 2022 was when my life started. My baby brother was born. I had purpose. What I was just living.
What happened in 2000? Oh yeah.
You remember all this?
Yeah.
Someone might come in.
Someone. Just
Someone must
maybe your
have.
mom.
No, but like I.
Bro, not even done.
Man. Bro, you're joking. Mina. Go get me whatever you can. Mina, can you bring me stuff? The
me
boys
see,
just
let
went
me
outside.
see.
There's gonna be nothing out there. Watch her come back and bring nothing for us. Oh no. Sorry. Wait, COVID was when? I can't put anything you're writing is the thing. Okay.
Why? None of us are presenting.
You don't know that. Yeah, one sec.
Okay.
Are we supposed to be out of school?
We can come back.
Is it COVID-12 or COVID-19? Why am I?
COVID-19.
All right. So everyone has created a timeline. Okay. Anyone needs more time? You need more time? You're good? Okay. So before we do that, I want to ask you a question. So the question here is, can anyone do a recap of what we learned so far, right? It doesn't have to be complete, like one person can say, okay, what is that one thing that remained with you, you're able to retain? Sarah, do you want to say anything? You want to do a recap? Saleh? No? Okay. Jibril. Okay. I want to hear from you, at least one thing.
Like data is really relevant to things we might not think they're relevant to,
Example.
like our being. So like how searches for certain stories in the Quran can be seen on Google Trends.
Yeah. So that is one thing that's retained in your mind. Anyone else? Yeah.
Data is a great way to showcase information and to get it to more people in a way that they'll be able to better understand it visually.
Love your answer, right? So data is a way for you to communicate, send a message across, and people will be able to comprehend it easily than when you say it just with the words. Anyone else? Anything that you remember what we have done so far?
A lot of things have data, like playing board games, that it is everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. So any game that you think you want to visualize that you came to your mind? Card games. Okay, what is your favorite card game? Okay. Anyone else? Yeah.
Data can be analyzed in different ways and forms.
Data can be analyzed in different ways and format. Thank you. What's your name? Adil. Okay, mashallah. One more person from this table. You want to answer? What is here? Perfect. That is that one takeaway I want you to take, right? Ask questions to be able to answer the question, right? So you have to ask questions. Even when we go in the interviews, we like, if I am interviewing someone, I will look into that. Hey, I provided that person a condition. Are they asking question or are they straight away jumping on solving it? So asking question is very important. One thing from the parent, anything that retained in your mind from the session so far?
You can use data to move people from one point to the other and use stories to them at the other to get the outcome.
Right. We want people to move from one point to another, right? You are changing the understanding with data and you want to change the perception. For example, the lost flowers of Palestine. I was talking to a brother over here and he said like he is very moved by this visual, right? Maybe like data is not something he's doing in his day job, but again, and I don't know, maybe you are, but he found that very interesting and be able to tell stories, right? So you can provoke emotions with data, you can change things with data. Okay, so timeline visual, I want to hear from you, like how was that exercise? Maybe Saleh, do you want to answer? How was this exercise? Did you create your timeline? Okay, how did you find it? Like, how was the exercise? Have you done something like that before? No, okay. Then you were able to, how did you do? Like I see, like you've created a timeline and you have got a person as well, right? Like this, like he has created a creative person and then different things. What did you do? Mm-hmm. Is it okay if I show it to others? Okay. So I really liked the visual which he created, and maybe some of you have done this. So 2011, like he was born. You see like a smiling baby over there, and started first grade, moved to San Ramon. Pandemic started, right? COVID, that was a big milestone. So he had that milestone, online school, then school reopened in 2021, middle school starts. So this is a timeline that he created. I like what he did. If you guys want to see as well. A very simple timeline, but it tells a story. Anyone else would like to share their own timeline?
Very visual.
Yeah.
Very visual.
One more person. I like what you're doing as well. Do you want to stand up and share?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So please come here.
Or do you just want me to present it? Or?
Yeah. First, you say like your name and what you did and how was the exercise and what's happening in the timeline.
Okay, my name is Edgewood. This is my timeline. There's nothing really significant in my life, but what I did was I just did everything, all the life events. Something unique about my timeline is that I moved a lot. So in 2008, I moved to Bangalore and I lived there, and then I moved to Dubai, and then I moved to the U.S. So I just have like a diverse lifestyle, and that's honestly about it. I don't really know.
But don't worry about so. All right. So I would really like to appreciate like what he's doing over here. Right? First of all, it requires a lot of courage to come and stand here. Not every one of us can do that. There would be a lot of times when you would be on stage and people would be laughing at you. I remember like back home, I was in India and there would be these debate competition and I was not on the stage, but I was there in the students and I would have this thing on my watch. The sunshine comes and I'll try to do this reflection on the face of the presenter. And I couldn't do that. I was not able to stand on the stage and do anything like that. But here, like I'm just making fun of it. So in life, you will see a lot of people who would laugh, make fun, and you'll be uncomfortable. But what you're doing is you're practicing, right? No one over here or anyone is like you. So you are unique. So be confident. And anytime like you get an opportunity to raise a hand or to come in front of people, grab that opportunity. Your hands will shake a little. It still shakes for me for after so many years. But then it becomes a practice and then you'll be able to tell your stories. So thank you. I think that was very nicely said that, hey, for my life, I see how old are you?
16.
16 years. In 16 years, he moved to different countries and did lots of stuff. All right. Anyone else wants to grab the opportunity to come and present their timeline? Let's see who is the brave one. Anyone else? Yeah. All right. Say your name.
I'm Fudger.
Okay.
And then do I just say it? So, on October 10th, 2010, I was born. And then in 2016, I started school. And then I think the same year, I moved to Pleasanton. And then in 2019, there was COVID. So I was in school online till like 2022. And in 2022, I started middle school, and now I'm in 8th grade.
MashaAllah. So very nice. Thank you. All right. So give a round of applause for everyone who presented. Again, as I said, right, these are moments that you would remember. I know, like, people would laugh, and it's okay. Like, they are your friends. But again, like, don't let yourself down. Anytime, like, someone is laughing at you, just think that, hey, you don't have to pay attention to that. You have to come to the stage and be able to tell your stories. And inshallah, you'll be more confident as you go further. All right. So let's see what we have next. Inspiration, right? When we talk about data visualization, data storytelling, there are a lot of things you can learn from. And in this section, I want you to see like different ways of telling stories with data and see if that can inspire something in your mind. Right now, when you read your curriculum books, you would see very standard type of data, some graphs here and there. But here, like this is learning from the leaders, right? There is this thing which says, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So Pablo Picasso said these words, right? So good artists borrow, great artists steal. Then he stole this thing from T.S. Eliot, like who said, immature poets imitate, mature poets steal. Right? And he got this thing from Igor Stravinsky, who said, good composers borrow, great composers steal. Right? Now, stealing is not something that we want, like our religion doesn't encourage stealing, right? But here the message is you take inspiration from lots of things. You take inspiration from nature, you take inspiration from whatever is happening in your daily lives, and see if you can do those things and use that in your work that you're doing. So in this section, I want you to see this visual. All right. Maybe I should, okay, just go here. All right. So this was from New York Times. And Pariza, I also want you to pay attention. Okay. So this is from New York Times article. And this was when Donald Trump became the president. And there were these different things he was saying, right? To June 2015, he said, Mexico will pay for the wall. 2016, April, Mexico is going to pay for the wall. Mexico will pay for the wall, pay for the wall, pay for the wall, but it will be reimbursed, okay? Ultimately, Mexico will pay for the wall. Mexico will pay for the wall. It may be through a reimbursement. They are paying for the wall indirectly. Because the trade deal is in billions and billions of dollars, better, they are actually paying for it. And then when you do this thing, you see what's happening, right? Can anyone answer like what they are seeing over here? Don't worry about whether you are able to read it or not. What do you see in this visual? Your name? Jasim? Okay, yeah. Okay, good answer. So a change in narrative is happening, right? When he went for his presidency, he said, okay, I want to build a wall and Mexico will pay for it. In all his polls and other things, he was telling all those things. But then things changed. After a certain period of time, you see what's happening. Now, I know like we talked about the narrative, but what I want you to see, or maybe like what I want someone to explain is what's happening in this visual, right? Is there something that you are seeing in the visual, what's going on? And one thing before you answer, I want everyone to shut the laptop. Okay. Back seat, good? Okay. Your name was? Abdullah, okay.
I was gonna say that in the beginning there's a lot of it's just constant talk about how Mexico would pay for it and kind of just pushing that narrative, and then when it comes to and it's just all red, right? And then when you see the blue aspects, it's just it's not publicized as much. He's not pushing that as much. But he's pushing the red. Mexico's going to pay for it. He's pushing the agenda a lot more than the true reality.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Anyone else wants to answer this? Take the opportunity. Want to grab the opportunity? Back seat, I want to hear from you. Is there anything visually that you are seeing? Yes. Your name? Ayub. Okay, Ayub.
Mexico will pay for the wall, and like last time where they say Mexico will pay for the wall, but they'll be
Yeah. So you're talking about the number of times a particular thing is being said, right? Do you also see some time element in it? Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Back over there. You want to answer?
In the beginning, it's just an idea, so they want it to be pushed as far as possible. But over time, they slowly have a compromise, and that's why they push the blue more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Why would they do this red thing more?
That is
Yeah. So migration situation is a pole issue. Right now, when the people go and want this, hey, I want to be the president, let's make America great again. I want to do this by the migration issue, right? And they are telling that, hey, I will make a wall, but Mexico will pay for that. But then what's happening is, over the years, like over the period of time, he stopped saying that. He's saying, okay, they will be indirectly doing certain things. There is no data in it, right? There is no numbers over here, but what they have done is they are able to tell a story beautifully, right? You are capturing the number of times the president is talking about certain issue. Can you do something similar? I'm not saying you do it now, but think about it like what other places can you do create this kind of a visual? Right now, what's happening in Palestine, our heart breaks for that, and we see the president talking about these issues, right? Initially, they would say, okay, this is what's happening, and now they are saying a different statement. Or maybe like they are saying, but then they are giving so much money to Israel or whatnot, right? So think about it. This is one way of telling a story, right? Or you can do it like for your parents that, hey, this is what you were saying earlier. When I get good grades, I'll get a bike. You kept saying that, but then when I got good grades, there was no bike. I was told that do more, right? So that's one way of telling a story. I want you to like capture it in your mind and try it out. Another example, there is a book called Dear Data, and this is again hand-drawn visuals. This was done by two authors who were sending each other letters, and those letters, like they will talk about certain things that, hey, like different type of notes, like what do these different things represent? The colors represent certain things. You've got the nodes representing something. It's just a different way of telling a story, right? So for example, the one which I did for Palestine, like the flowers of Palestine. So it was like flowers were telling a story. Small flowers were for small kids, big flowers for big kids, then a family together. So that's another way of telling story. You are not creating those traditional graphs. Back over there, I want you to pay attention. We'll have fun later, okay? I want someone to explain me what's happening in this visual. Yes. Your name? Ibrahim.
Showing how people of different races are getting less money.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you want to repeat it on the mic? Okay. Anyone else wants to answer it? What Ibrahim said is, and again, you see, for every $1 a white man earns, a Hispanic woman would earn this much amount. Uh, a black man would earn this much amount, and like that, different things, right? What if we change this from the dollar notes that you're seeing to a bar graph? Would it appeal as much? No. It is appealing more because it's done in a different way. This was created by a journalist called Mona Shalabi from The Guardian. And this is one way to tell the story, right? So for every, and again, think of it like how you can do it in your job, right? Or not in your job, but think of how you can do similar things. So that's interesting. Another one, okay, who can answer this? What's happening in this visual? There is a comparison being shown, but what's happening? Yes.
Basically, it says 1 square foot is how much space required per person in a U.S. Prison for the first picture, and then it shows that like a guy in the U.S. prison gets way more space than the people that are detained by U.S. Border Patrol.
Okay. So what is the story over here? What is the point you're trying to make?
I'm trying to say that people in U.S. prisons get way more space than people detained by U.S. Border Patrol.
Right. So again, all this immigration issues that are being talked about by our presidents, over here you see like this is the standard. Minimum square space required per person in US prisons, like this is the standard. And this is what's happening at people detained by US Border Patrol, right? So they don't have enough space. And imagine, like maybe take it as a homework, if you can create another square and plot the number of people in Rafah, for example, right? Get the data, okay, how many people per square feet are there? It's a small piece of land, and because of all those bombings and what's happening? And the principle that you are learning over here is comparison, right? There is a standard, and then what's happening? If you tell the story in this way, like, hey, this is one thing, but this is what's happening, it appeals to the audience. Okay, who wants to answer the second one? Yes, Abdullah, right?
Similar comparison as like the first one,
Okay.
where basically because the first one shows where like how it is in U.S. prisons, and then the difference with U.S. Border Patrol. This one is very similar in the way they're showing the comparison between a non-Muslim terrorist attack and a supposedly Muslim terrorist attack, and how basically like the microphones or the cameras that are being held, and how there's so many for someone who's allegedly Muslim versus someone who's not Muslim. So then it basically paints the story that there's a lot more press coverage for someone who's allegedly Muslim.
Awesome. Very nicely said. What grade are you in? Senior 12th. Okay. So this is very important, right? As we grow up, as you go to schools, you read the newspapers, you go in your professional life, you'll see some kind of narrative over there for different things which are going on in world. And you might start questioning yourself that, hey, what's going on? Like every time I'm hearing about a Muslim attacker and whatnot, right? But then when you look into the data, there are different things which are happening. And here, like Mona, she has done a fantastic job. This is data. If you go to Our World in Data, like there is a site, ourworldindata.org, they have this data source, like people have done this research. There is also a book called Coverage of Muslims in US. which researchers have done, and you will see that the difference in how people are, how Muslims are covered in newspapers. So here, like if I'm able to show the story in this way, if it was a graph, right, it could have been a graph. There would be two bar graph, one showing 15, another showing 105. Okay, I get it that, hey, there is a variation. But now if you visualize it in this way, you would say, okay, wow, that's why maybe I'm seeing so much news, so much in social media. What happened in Britain right now, I don't know, like if you guys were following the news, there was some incident happened, and the attacker was not Muslim, but in social media it was spread that, hey, the attacker was Muslim, and after that, like there were these riots which are happening. They're still happening, so may Allah make easy for them. But you would see these kind of things in the media that, hey, this is what's happening. But you want to learn these things to be able to change the narrative, or if someone is presenting, understand like, hey, this is data and what's going on. I want like all of you to be able to tell these stories, right? What's going on and how we can change things. You're changing the narrative with things like these. Who can answer this one? What's happening in this graph? Just a second. I want someone else as well from the back bench. Whatever is coming to your mind, right? Don't shy. If you're not raising your hand, I'll start calling myself. Can you pass the mic over there? No. To her. Yeah. What's happening? Whatever comes to your mind. There is no wrong answer. You want to give it to the next person? No? Okay. Pariza, do you want to answer this? No? Okay, over there. Yeah.
I don't really see anything, so I'm just gonna assume that there are no CEOs of Wall Street Journal that were sent to jail.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what's happening. The absence of data is data. I repeat again. The absence of data is data. Here, there is this whole page, New York Times, there is this article they have, and they just have the heading, which says, the CEOs of Wall Street sent to jail. There is no data. What point are they trying to drive? Who wants to answer? Yeah.
Nobody went to jail. None of the CEOs went to jail, but they probably should have went to jail.
Awesome. Yeah. So this is a very interesting way to tell the story, right? You have one whole page and you say, okay, the number of CEOs of Wall Street sent to jail. If you are going to a protest or anything, just take a banner with a headline, whatever comes to your mind, keep it empty, right? Does it tell a story? This is a very interesting visual. I know like some of you, when you created a timeline, you had this thing, okay, what's happening, what happened during COVID, right? So here, this is a way of visualizing data, and you have got different maps, right? So, and these maps were for different months. And what's happening here is there is a spike happening at a particular location showing the number of people who were affected with COVID in a particular geography. And they didn't limit themselves to the headline like, hey, there is this New York Times headline and I should not take my graph over there. They want to show something is breaking the ceiling, right? Something is breaking the ceiling. So it's that high, it's so bad that it's breaking the ceiling. And otherwise, like if you were to create some kind of a graph, you would say, okay, let's shorten it or like cut it but they went ahead and did this. The whole piece over here, the job losses soar, right? It's showing like in a unique way that with COVID, also what happened is there were so much job losses that were happening. We talked about Flowers of Palestine. This was map, the number of traffic violations issued. So I used to get a lot of parking violation tickets in Seattle, and my wife, like she would make fun of me. So I went to seattle.gov website and I grabbed all the data of the traffic parking violations, and I saw like this is a visual. I've got lots more things. We will talk about these in separate sessions. We talked about this, and maybe I will cover this in a separate session. How are we doing on the time? 10 more minutes? Okay. So let's see. So now what I want you to do is, maybe you can open your laptop or use your pen and paper. This is a very simple data that I'm giving you. And just to use your pen and paper, or if you want to open your Excel and take the data, I'll also send this in the email to the parents. So if you want to do this as a take-home exercise, you can do that. But basically, this hands-on exercise, what it's showing is, it's showing the data for 2 different periods for few countries. You've got few columns over here. One column is year, second is country, the third column is average of rate, which is the number of kids per woman, is the third column. And then you have got the death percentage, and then the population of that country, right? You've got 2 different periods of this data for these different countries. So looks like something is missing over here. So anyways, like what I can do is I can send this as an email. You can take this as a home exercise. And I think we have got 3 more sessions. This is the only in-person session we have, but the next 3 sessions that we have are online session. I would encourage you to join, and I will email the data to the parents and you can take it. If you want to benefit out of these sessions, you have to do exercise, right? So as we talked about doing different exercises, so do that exercise. Next time we can talk about, like, some of you can present and I can show you different techniques of how you can make it more useful and tell the story, right? So maybe I will pause over here and I want to see like if anyone has any questions. If you don't have any questions, I will start asking questions. Okay. Yeah.
You said you're a data scientist. What's just like the sort of stuff that you do as a data scientist?
Can you repeat the question? What
What do you do?
What I do as a data scientist, right? So that's a good question. Let's go back to where we started, right? We covered a lot of things today. This is what I do as a data scientist, right? These are the different pillars. Like everything starts by asking an interesting question. So you work with the business stakeholders and they would want to solve a certain problem. For example, let's say this wonderful facility over here, this is great. And our brother over here is doing amazing job. May Allah like increase his risk for creating something like this. But he comes to me and says that, hey, Gulreez, I want to increase the number of things people are doing over here. And how do I do that? So I would say, okay, let's see if you have got any data. So he would come and he say, I've got these different events which happened in the last 6 months, and then I will work with him to categorize these events. There were some events about the deen, there were some events about technology, and then there were some things around other things, right? His question was, how do I increase it? So I would look into it and I would see, is there any pattern? I will tell him that, hey, you know what? I'm seeing more and more stuff around people learning about technology. So this is the audience that you have. What can you do with that? So this is what I do in my day job. At PayPal or Microsoft, people would come and they ask questions, and I would work with them to understand the problem that they are trying to solve, and then use different techniques. When you start solving the problem, the first problem that we did on this whiteboard was counting the number of letters, right? And we saw that all tables were not equal, right? So we did the average and then increased the number of, took care of the missing data. So you do those kind of things, then you visualize. The other thing is like also, as I said, the last piece. This is something which makes me more stronger as a data scientist, because what I'm seeing in the data science community is people spend a lot of time in the technical part. And you would see those PhDs and whatnot, like they have done a lot of work on the technical side. And when they go to the business to present the solution, for example, talking about a brother, I go to him and I talk about, hey, you know what? I did this logistic regression thing and I saw these variables and then there was this missing data and I did this and I did this. And he would be scratching his head. Hey, brother, I'm asking you, how do I increase the number of events over here? And you're explaining me all these technical jargons. This is not what he's interested in. So that's when I go and I tell him a story that, hey, you know what? There was this particular event happened on 11th of August, and all the kids, they were very interested, and this was happening. And he is now thinking, okay, I understand, I see the picture, you are telling a story. So these are the things that you do. And there are like technical aspects, but I know like technical aspects are covered everywhere, so I'm not touching a lot on that. Maybe we can have separate sessions if there is an interest on the technical side. Any other questions? Yes.
Stock information.
Stock information. So stock market? Yeah. Not in my day job. Like I work for PayPal. Right now, I work in a group called Developer Productivity. And my focus right now is to improve the efficiency of our developers so they can use all this generative AI and other things. And then I'm trying to correlate people who are using generative AI and people who are not, and seeing if we are seeing any performance gain over there. So that is not the business problem. Like PayPal is not in the business of looking into the stock market and other things. So no, I am not looking to stock market at this point. I'm investing separately, but not for my day job. Any other questions? Anything from the parents?
What do you like actually as a job as a data scientist? Because we have a lot of software engineers in our community.
Yeah.
Very few data scientists.
Yeah.
Any nuance? What's the difference for us and the kids?
What is the difference between a data scientist and a software engineer? Okay. So both, like all of us, like when we are recruited not just for coding or certain things. We are recruited for solving a business problem. What software engineer does is they would get a requirement of building a new thing. For example, for our brother's case, maybe he comes in and he says, I want a website for my facility. And I want these features that, hey, when someone comes and books in, it shows the availability and whatnot, right? So this is like he coming up with a feature. You'll have a product manager or program manager who's taking that requirement and then working with the different software engineers. And then there would be other teams, whether they want it to be localized in Malayalam or Arabic or different languages. You can do those kind of things. When it comes to data scientists, there are different flavors of data scientists. you would see certain people who are doing machine learning models all the time, right? This is like when you are dealing with uh, like even the slightest 0.02% of accuracy of the model is going to impact, like for example, Amazon. If you go on Amazon, you see this recommended things that, hey, you buy this book called Drawing Data with Kids, you should also buy this book. And most of people who have bought this book have bought this book. So this is a recommendation model. So people are working on improving it. And why this is important is it increases the sales for Amazon, right? So this is one flavor of data scientist. Another flavor is experimentation. So again, going back to the example of our brother, when there are two people going to the website and they are seeing two different versions of the website. And there is one button which is blue button which says book now. Another one is red button which says book now. And we are doing an experimentation. We are saying, okay, how many people go to the red button and click book now? How many people are going to blue button? And when you do that, you see, okay, people who are who's shown red button more are more likely to book rooms. So you would say, hey, brother, this is what we are seeing. And in the website, let's go to the software engineer and tell them to change the color of the buttons from blue to red. That's another flavor, right? The third flavor is more on the analysis side. This is when you are just analyzing the data. You call it as a data analyst. Some people call it as a data scientist as well. This is where I would go to the brother and say that, hey, there are 100 people who came to the website, and these are the people who clicked on the button, and what are their profiles, how you can reach out to them. So working more with them. So these are different flavors. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think what we're going to do next is we'll make a short dua. And then, as I said, Brother Naufal is going to work with your parents to give them more details about our next sessions. But always remember, what we are trying to do is you need to exercise. And if you exercise, you'll be able to build your muscles, be it your physical muscles or memory muscles. And then make a dua that all of the stuff that I'm learning for the dunya, I can be of help to deen as well, right? So, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Aziz, Ya Ghaffar, Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum, Ya Dono Jahan ke Malik. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, all these kids are here. Ya Allah, they want to learn. Their parents are making effort. The community leaders are making effort. Ya Allah, accept it from us. Ya Allah, make them leaders of the Ummah. Ya Allah, make it benefit for the Ummah. Ya Allah, whatever we are doing, whatever hardship people are facing, make these people as leaders who can solve those hardships, make them a good leaders, and help us cultivate good things to our kids. Ameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina.
Okay. We have pizza outside for the kids. So if you can line up, then we'll have it. All right? Just line up and then we'll get it done. Islam. Brother Gulrez, thank you so much.